A very good evening. You're watching India Today going live on all our social media platforms. I'm Nabila Jamal bringing you the roundup of today's news. More or less, Prime Minister Narendra Modi has dominated headlines and the news today. He's in Varanasi at his home turf, his constituency, where he's rolled out a slew of developmental projects as he arrives on the occasion of Dev Deepavali. This is quite some excitement there around the festive, in fact, a festive mood that prevails in Varanasi. Right here, we're looking at Prime Minister Modi even as we speak now along the Ghat sections, and he's going to be viewing a laser show in just a little while from now. There's also 11,000 diyas that have been lit up along the Ghat section there. He's currently at the Lalita Ghat area, and he's also overseen the Kashi Vishwanath project to see what progress has happened so far. Apart from that, he's launched a massive 73-kilometer highway which is built at a cost of 2,447 crores. And this is a highway that links Varanasi to Handia in Prayagraj. It's a 6-lane expressway. Prime Minister Modi boasts of it, calling this one of the ambitious projects of the government, saying that now Uttar Pradesh will be Express Pradesh. So this is going to be quite big for Uttar Pradesh indeed, this highway. Apart from that, Prime Minister Modi today took the stage to speak about the farm bills. Now we know that the farm bills, that is contentious farm bills now that farmers are protesting against, has been in controversy at least for the last 2 months ever since the bills were passed. The farmers have been protesting relentlessly, and the government has been adamant on their stand that these bills are for the better of the farmers. This is going to be a direction, in fact, it's going to be a move in the right direction is what the government promises. It says that farmers can sell their produce to whoever they wish to. They can sell it at whatever price they want to. They're going to be getting rid of middlemen. This is really going to give great profits to farmers in the long run. And this is progressive, is what the government stance is. But the farmers believe that private players, corporates coming into agriculture are going to dominate the agricultural sector. This is giving leeway to big private players, big corporates to come in and dominate those the prices, dominate the markets, and in fact eventually even maybe take away land of the farmers. Many of those protesting farmers who we have spoken to say that they are vulnerable. For even thousands of rupees they can possibly sell their land. That's how right now, that's the kind of tragedy we're looking at in the agricultural sector. Many of the farmers, they're committing suicide, which we know. Farmers say that they are so vulnerable at this point of time that they could possibly be influenced by the corporates very easily and give away their land without, and by being influenced by the price that the big corporates would give them and law them for basically pittance. They could sell away their land and lose the entire their livelihood. That's the farmers' grouse, and this is individual farmers speaking. In fact, most of these farmers, whenever you ask them, have the opposition parties given you any information, or are they fueling these protests? They say they're not encouraging any politician or political party to be part of this protest. It is one farmer behind the other farmer. This is an all in out farmers protest. 30 farming associations from across the country have come together in this protest, and they're saying this is completely for the farmers that they're protesting and nothing politically motivated. But today when we heard Prime Minister Narendra Modi speak, he has highlighted, or he's hit out at the opposition parties specifically, saying that the opposition parties have been trying to spread lies and misinformation in the minds of the farmers. He says that farmers are worried and apprehensive about what may happen in the future. It's not happened as yet, but this is what may happen that they're anticipating and getting worried about. What Prime Minister says that this is not going to happen at all. That's exactly what the new farm laws, in fact, what the farm laws actually suggest is that farmers get rid of middlemen and can get better prices for their produce, even international buyers that they can reach out to. This is what the Prime Minister says, that the farm laws are progressive. Now, farmers, of course, are adamant that on one hand, corporates are going to come in. On the other, there's no guarantee to the minimum support price. The minimum support price has not been guaranteed to the farmers, and the marketplaces will be demolished. The APMCs, the mandis that usually that was the system so far, those marketplaces will be overruled by big corporates picking up their produce and dominating the prices and setting the tone by connecting with farmers remotely even at their doorstep. So there's no way and mechanism of actually implementing a minimum support price, because it's going to be all haywire with everything now freely moving about. So the clash continues. The farmers and the government are still at loggerheads. It's going to be really interesting to see what the government does to really diffuse these ongoing protests that are currently at several border areas. Remember, at least 4 borders along Delhi and North Delhi region completely blocked. Traffic come to a grinding halt with farmers there agitating for the 5th straight day in a row. Now, we do know that many of these areas, let me tell you the areas that are currently looking at protests and where traffic has come to a grinding halt. In fact, deadlock there continuing for the 5th day, where in Ghazipur today, Ghazipur border, protesters from Uttar Pradesh created quite a ruckus. They threw away barricades, pushed their way forward. Apart from that, many of the north and northwest Delhi areas, including the Singhu area, the Lampur area, the Shaifabad area and the Tikri border area, they're all completely blocked. A heavy police presence there. Even as we speak, they're still ensuring that the farmers are calm, but somehow it seems like the 5th straight day the farmers also are losing patience somehow. And remember, they've been pushed to go to the Burari ground. This is a dedicated site where the government says the farmers must go and sit down and protest. But farmers believe that first of all, their demand was they wanted to go to the Jantar Mantar or Ram Leela Maidan. They say that going to Burari ground is nothing but an open prison where the government is already readying itself to ignore the farmers by keeping them there, and if they create any ruckus, then they're going to imprison them there, right there. So it's like an open jail, an open prison is what the farmers believe Burari ground is. But here the government says Burari ground has all the facilities. The farmers can sit in peace and agitate. Farmers believe this is a ploy of the government for their voice to be ignored eventually. So there's a clash there on the site of protest, the venue where the farmers must go and sit, and they're not agreeing for the government's request. The government is saying unless and until you clear the borders and move towards Burari ground, we will not be ready for talks. But there seems to be some sort of relief, considering that there's been a lot of meetings, a lot of top leaders are huddling up to understand what can be done next. JP Nadda's house just yesterday, late last night, at JP Nadda's residence, Home Minister Amit Shah, Defence Minister Rajnath Singh. You also had Narendra Singh Tomar, the Agriculture Minister, who came together and tried to discuss on what to do with the farmers' protests. Can they amend the law at all? Remember, so far the government has been adamant on not rolling back on their laws, but because of the protests really heating up, they're trying to understand if there's anything that could be done, if they can indulge in dialogue, and if there is room for any negotiation. So even today, now last night there was a meeting between top leaders. Today too, within less than 18 hours, another round of meeting that was held again with JP Nadda meeting with the Union Home Minister Amit Shah. He also met with the Agriculture Minister, and all three of them are right now, just a little while ago, right before Narendra Modi taking to the stage to speak and addressing farm laws, did have a meeting. But after that meeting, we still heard Prime Minister Narendra Modi speaking and praising the farm laws on the stage in Varanasi. So it's a little difficult to gauge whether the government is willing to buckle or not. So far, it looks like the government is firm on its stance. It won't roll back the farmers' laws. And looking at the farmers there, one can really look at their grit and tell that they're not going to move back anytime soon. Now, you also have many other ministers of the BJP trying to persuade and, of course, trying to diffuse tensions among the farming community. You have Ravi Shankar Prasad there, but these are messages that have been put out on Twitter. Remember, no official so far has gone to any of the border areas to address the concerns personally, face to face. It's all mostly via the media or on Twitter. You have Ravi Shankar Prasad, who's tweeted saying that the farm bills are progressive and the mandi system will exist. It will not be abolished. It will still exist. Farmers can still go through the mandi system. They will still have MSP price, the minimum support price that they will have. But the farmers say, unless and until you give us a guaranteed in written, it's not going to work for us. Union Minister Prakash Javadekar has also tweeted assuring that MSP will be guaranteed, and Javadekar asks farmers not to get floored away by all the misconceptions and lies, again with the leaders here blaming the opposition parties for fueling it. Now, going over to the political fight now, it's already begun in Delhi. Now, Delhi government has promised that the farmers who are coming into Delhi will be taken care of. In fact, Delhi government has already started giving out food to the farmers who are protesting. So, BJP's Amit Malviya, their spokesperson, has hit out at the AAP government saying that AAP government's ploy to instigate and burn down Delhi by allowing the farmers to protest wherever they want haphazardly, and also to feed them while they come into the national capital. Amit Malviya there makes a big allegation saying that these farmers are Khalistanis and they are Maoists. They have different intentions and agendas. They're not genuine farmers, and they're Khalistanis and Maoists, and therefore the Delhi government is supporting them and eventually planning to burn Delhi. This is the allegation by the BJP leader Amit Malviya against AAP government. AAP, of course, in fact, Amit Malviya says AAP had already begun implementing the law, but right after the protests began, they took the opportunity to make this political and take some mileage and brownie points here. This is a fight between the BJP and the AAP in the national capital, even as the farmers are agitating. Remember, 1.5 lakh farmers are across the borders of Delhi waiting to come in. Many of them violent, many of them calm, but their purpose is one. They want the farm laws, the new farm laws, to be abolished. Now, going over to, quickly cutting across to Hyderabad. Remember, over the last 2 days, it's been a high decibel campaign in Hyderabad for the civic municipal polls. One can't get enough to say that BJP's campaign in Hyderabad has been so pompous. This is the first of its kind of a municipal poll campaigning that we've seen to have been so grand. It's never unprecedented in India that a municipal poll has gotten this kind of traction and attention. And BJP, of course, leading the campaign with all their star campaigners. You had, starting with JP Nadda, who descended to campaign there, taking out rallies, and then you had Yogi Adityanath, the chief minister, you had Smriti Irani, Gautam Gambhir, Saina Nehwal, and then you had Amit Shah as well, who landed in Hyderabad yesterday and took out a massive rally. So this is a high decibel campaign that's picked up. November 1st, that's tomorrow, is the day after is the massive, or tomorrow, it's the massive election, the municipal election in Hyderabad. And ahead of that, there are allegations that have been made by the BJP is that the TRS party, the ruling party, is giving out money for votes, and many of those TRS leaders were caught. At least one of them was taken into custody, and in fact a case has been filed against one TRS leader as well. But the BJP is still saying that the cops are somehow siding with the TRS leaders and allowing them to spend money to buy votes. So this is the allegation there already ahead of the Hyderabad municipal polls. But remember, the BJP's campaign has been quite epic. They've been taking out rallies, massive rallies, where they've spoken about how they want to end the Nizam rule in Hyderabad, how they want to change the name of Hyderabad from Hyderabad to Bhagyanagar, how they're going to end dynasty politics of the KCR government, and how they promise to give development to the entire state of Telangana, particularly Hyderabad, through this municipal polls. And BJP, they're promising that this time the mayor would be from the BJP. Remember, out of 103 municipal seats, BJP last time won 4. Will they manage to make inroads this time with this high decibel campaign? That remains to be seen. Whatever said and done, the campaign has been quite a grand affair, and it was interesting to watch. Now, cutting across to the COVID-19 vaccine here, Prime Minister Modi has been overseeing the progress of several of the trials that have been undertaken in India. Remember, 60% of vaccination drive and manufacturing of vaccines around the world happens in India. Most of the manufacturers, 60% of the world's manufacturers are in India. And considering that, India is hopeful and confident that the vaccine will be rolled out soon, and India will be the beneficiary to it. We will get it soon enough, like earlier than many other countries. In fact, Prime Minister Modi has met with 3 teams today working on the development and manufacturing of vaccines. He's met with Genova Biopharma, he's met with Biological E and Dr. Reddy's. Now, Genova and Biopharma are working on their own vaccines, while Dr. Reddy's has tied up with Russia on Sputnik V, and they're working on that manufacturing Sputnik V in India. So, looking at all these three teams working on the vaccine, Prime Minister Modi has ordered all his teams to ensure that manufacturing and the rollout plan and strategy, including logistics, transport and cold storage chain. Remember, the challenges is not about rolling out the vaccine, it's about storing the vaccine, storing it in cold temperatures ranging from all the way from 2 degrees to 73 degrees Celsius. That's in the middle in between this temperature, several of these vaccines will have to be stored, and India does not have such a vast cold storage system. We're also a warmer country, so it's going to be difficult to ramp up that kind of facility. But here Prime Minister Modi has pulled all his strings. He's told all his aides to ensure that all these three are completely, all sorts of resources given out to logistics, transport and cold chain to ensure that vaccination drive is rolled out with ease. He's advised all the departments to engage with all the manufacturers as well and to seek a resolve on the delivery matters. Once it's rolled out, its storage and even delivery to all the priority groups, the high risk groups, it must be seamless. So in fact, many of the organizations, in fact, many of the teams deployed by Prime Minister Modi under his governance, they've already started taking out, they've drawn out plans on how, or rather taking out surveys to see who are the high risk people across the country. Booth level surveys are currently being carried out. That's the plan. The survey will be carried out soon enough. But this is how they're going to plan to come down on actually deciding who gets the vaccination first. So this is that. Here also one can imagine that Modi has already visited Bharat Biotech and Zydus Biotech to review the status of the COVID-19 vaccine. So he is literally overseeing the vaccination rollout plan and the drive and the trials and the progress of it. Now there's a shocking news that's come from Chennai about the vaccine, with regards to the vaccine here. A Chennai-based volunteer, remember, many people, thousands of them across the globe, even in India, have volunteered to get the first vaccine shot while it was in trial phase itself, to see if that vaccination works on you. Now, many of these laboratories, like Serum Institute, have promised that these vaccinations or the doses that they give you in the trial phases they're not harmful. So one can volunteer. So this is a promise that the laboratories have made, and based on that assurance, many of them, hundreds and thousands of them across the globe, even in India, have volunteered to come get that shot. Now there is this one man, a Chennai-based volunteer, a 40-year-old man, who got this vaccine, the COVID Shield vaccine, which we are all waiting for in India, considering it seems to be quite promising. It's proven to have at least 90% efficacy while given in 2 doses, the first full dose and the second half dose. And Prime Minister Modi visited the the Serum Institute of India as well, which is currently conducting trials to Oxford's AstraZeneca COVID Shield. All that hope surrounding this particular vaccine, COVID Shield. This man in Chennai says that he got a shot of COVID Shield while it was in trial phase, and he's got some serious, severe neurological problems as well as psychological issues. This is the allegation he's made. He's filed a case against the Serum Institute. The notices have been gone out to respective people, including the Serum Institute CEO, Adar Poonawala as well. So he claims that he has some irreversible psychological effects. Now, he's asked for a compensation of 5 crore rupees from Serum Institute. In fact, this man is 40 years of age, and Serum Institute accuses him of lying, saying that this is malicious and that he could have had some comorbidities much earlier, which is what has resulted in some psychological and neurological issues there. But the man says he's got all his tests done and he has absolutely no issue. He had no issues in the past. There were no comorbid conditions that he had, and this was solely due to the vaccination shot that he got during the trial phase. So he's made a massive allegation there. In fact, the regulatory bodies are currently looking into it. But remember, here is Serum Institute, who is still going ahead. They've still progressed with the vaccination trials there. It was briefly halted because there was someone even in the UK who claimed to have adverse effects. It was halted briefly, and again trials began. So they're now going forward with it. Remember, the allegations that this man has made, the AstraZeneca representative there, CEO, has vehemently denied these allegations, saying that this is malicious and misconceived, and says Serum Institute of India is sympathetic to the volunteer's condition, the medical condition here. There is absolutely, but he says there's absolutely no correlation between the vaccine trial and the medical condition of this volunteer. The volunteer is falsely lying, and he's blaming this institute for his medical problems that he had in the past before the COVID vaccine trials. This is what they say. So it's going to be really hard to understand what really happens here. But but this man has gone to court. He's asked for 5 crores as compensation, and the regulatory bodies are currently looking into it. In fact, the DGCI had said had earlier this month, like I said, already suspended phase 2 and phase 3 clinical trials in India, and this was done in the wake of AstraZeneca's decision to pause these trials after a volunteer in the US, I beg your pardon, not UK, in the US, began to exhibit some spinal inflammation, signs of spinal inflammation. But right after it resumed, they granted permission for the trials to resume again on September 15th. So there have been some challenges, but remember, it's vaccination here is unprecedented. This is the first time that any laboratory is now working on vaccines across the globe. So these kind of news is expected, but it's we're just hoping that they take all the precautions, and public health is their priority and their first concern. No doubt they've promised to do that. That's the undertaking that they have. While they roll out vaccines, they've got to ensure that this does not give adverse effects to people. Remember, at the same time, Serum Institute for COVID Shield, Adar Poonawalla has said the vaccine is great and it should be rolled out soon on emergency, quite literally fast. So if reports like this come, it's quite disheartening to say the least. Let's hope they work on those flaws. Now, quickly, Delhi COVID cases, it's a sign of improvement. COVID cases on a daily basis have reduced. The numbers have dropped from 5,000, which is a daily count. Every day there were reports of 5,000 and more cases that were coming, that were reported. But today, at least for 5 days in a row, again, it's below 4,900. So there's been a slight drop in the COVID positive cases in Delhi. Even the death toll on a daily basis, it used to cross 100 on a daily basis, but that's also dropped below 90. So that's a positive sign. In the meanwhile, Kejriwal has lauded the efforts of the healthcare workers and people who are taking responsibility now. Now, a quick word as work and as normal life resumes in many parts of the country, not all parts, some parts of the country. Assam, the elementary schools are all set to begin from the 1st of January. So the Health Minister of Assam, Hemanta Biswa Sarma, has said that elementary schools will be open, but in a staggered manner with all protocols in place. But if only and only parents agree to send their children. If parents are not willing to send their children, they don't need to send them. They can take classes remotely. But if they're agreeing, then schools are going to be opened up post January 1st. Students can come in and attend, but it's going to be on odd even basis. A bunch of students, half of the students come one day, the other half come the other day. So it's going to be split like that with all protocols in place. Elementary school to begin amid the pandemic in Assam. That's the decision that Assam has taken. So this is the first government across of India who has decided to open up schools 1st of January. So that's that. Most of the information coming from all across of India. And like I said, today Prime Minister Modi has taken the cake. His visit to Varanasi, even now we're going live on the pompous celebration on the occasion of Dev Deepavali, where he also addressed the farmers' issues. So we're going to track more on that. But for now, it's a wrap. Thank you for watching.